Wonderful.
Okay, good.
So we are
So,
online.
yeah. So, hi all. I would like to welcome Heidi Souffriau. Hi, Heidi. I don't know
Hi.
if I pronounced correctly your last name.
Well, I forgive everyone for not pronouncing this correctly. It's Souffrieux.
Piro.
It's a
Okay.
French name. It actually means I suffered in past
Oh,
tense. So
okay.
we're done with that.
Very significant. So, Heidi is more than an astrologer because she helps to remember the soul's journey and its purpose. Heidi teaches yoga, meditation, pranayama, and philosophy, and counsels people from all dreams, ages, and experiences using soul astrology and her connection to divine love. She also carries the medicine of the tarot and the Akashic records. And the part I love the most in your biography, Heidi, is that you love to dance because this is something
Yes.
that I love to do as well. So, like, do you like some specific kind of dance or just to dance?
I think the truth is that I like a good party. Uh, so that I'm a solo dancer. I would love to learn more. Like I had some experience salsa dancing this summer. Actually, took some classes while I was in the city in New York. But yeah, for me it's more like electronic music, house
Okay.
music, and dancing because it's such a freedom, right? It's like you
Yeah.
remember, you forget, and you remember who you are
Hmm.
at the same time when you're really
Yeah.
in it. And you cannot always get there immediately, but once you're in it,
Hmm.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. You're
How is
so
it for
like,
you?
yeah. So I'm also doing like salsa and bachata, and
Bachata, I love that one. That's to the
oh,
sun, right?
yes, yes.
And
It's more
it's
like
actually
more romantic. Yeah,
it's
than
more romantic.
salsa. Yeah.
Um, okay, I can see that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like I'm so connected when I'm dancing. Because when you learn to dance, like you need to connect, right? The mind and the body, everything. Otherwise, you just cannot move correctly. And
Mm,
so it's some kind of, the exploration of the soul, of some connections, and with other people as well.
with
I
other
love it.
people. Yeah, with other people as well. That's a whole other story, right? There's another. I remember my first tango classes that I ever took. It was such a mirror because the guy he was saying things like, "You're giving me too much. You're not giving me enough." Like because there
Hmm.
is pure connect to the heart of the other and allow the masculine to lead you through that. But it's such a surrender that at that time I was like, "Oh no,
Yeah,
this is really psychologically a lot." Whereas, like
yeah,
when you're a solo dancer, when you dance alone, it's about your own star, right? It's about your own freedom. It's also a very Aquarius thing, and we're in
yeah.
Aquarius season. It's like
Okay.
dancing. I feel like it belongs to Aquarius.
No, I didn't know that. Nice. Yeah. So was it difficult for you to surrender to a partner?
But I think I'm way better at it now than I was 10 years ago.
You're right. Yeah. So, Heidi, it's been a couple of years since I first wanted to have my natal chart read. And finally, thanks to Juliana and Mark from BohoBeautiful, I learned about you. And I was so impressed by our session because you revealed the most intimate details about my life. And the most heart opening part was when you looked into my past lives. It explains so much about myself. So I'm wondering, have you started studying karmic astrology because regular astrology wasn't enough for you? How it
Mm.
happened?
So this is an eclipse story, actually. We're gonna have a first eclipse in 2 weeks. No, it's in a bit longer, like 17th of February.
You're
So I
right.
don't know when this will be published, but 17th of February 2026, we're gonna have a first eclipse with the north with with the energy of Aquarius and Leo. The nodes are
Mm-hmm.
still in the old constellations of Pisces and Virgo. But when last time we eclipsed in those two signs, in the opposite configuration, which is about 9 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
then I went through a very interesting moment of revelation in my life. So I met someone who represented everything that I had not accepted within myself or that I had not healed in myself. So this was a karmic soulmate, so somebody that I have known in past lives many, many times, but I didn't rationalize it like that or intellectualize it like that. It was just like a shock, like on a body level, on a heart level, on a mind level. It was just like a shock. And to make sense of that relationship or of my life at that moment, which was eclipsing in all directions, I went to see a karmic astrologer. Her name is Chantal Sterk, and she taught me so much. And what she did for me is a bit like what you described. She told me everything that I ever felt to be true about myself, but in the language of reincarnation and past lives. And she also was able to put the charts of me and this individual together and delineate the past lives that we had together. And I remember that all the feelings that I had had and all the remembrances that I had had with that person, they appeared in the same order in this delineation that this woman was making between me and this person. And I was like, wow, okay, the immense forgiveness that I felt and just the recognition, like, wow, we really travel through time with an essence that evolves and that lives and learns and experiences. That session gave that to me. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if I can only give that to one other person. And so I already knew some astrology in terms of the basics, like the planets as the actors, the constellations, and all that. But I didn't know this kind of astrology that tied in all the yogic principles and all the Vedas, because eventually it's a yoga astrology, and it ties in a lot of the principles of Vedic astrology in the sense of like, okay, the soul lives through time, and there is this process of reincarnation that we go through.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that was really a shift because I was like, okay, that seems to be something that I can devote some time to.
Yeah, so it helped you a lot.
But it helped
Fantastic.
me a lot. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what is actually helpful about this is that there is this medicine, right? That the soul is at once timeless, but then incarnated in time through this body that we produce, this mind, these thoughts that we have, the personality, which is will dissolve at death, but the
Right.
soul travels on, and so we meet again and again. And it's still through relationship that we are able to learn, I feel, the fastest and the most in the most intense way, because
Mm-hmm.
what exists between two people, it's kind of inexplicable. And
Right.
there's this conspiracy of the invisible that has two people connect at a certain
Mm-hmm.
point in time. Why this now? So why this person now is even more effective, I find often, than why this event now. And hopefully we can evolve towards a place where we can learn through laughter and beauty, and less through traumatic events or relationships that reveal whatever we have not sorted out within ourselves. So obviously that's my wish for humanity and for everyone. But yeah, it's still very potent when you meet someone who seems to incarnate shadow aspects of yourself quite
Mm-hmm.
potently.
So it seems like the karmic astrology helps, like speeds up the processes, right? Because otherwise, maybe you just go on with your lives without understanding the meaning, and maybe the
Mm.
astrology helps you in this sense, right? Um,
Yeah, meaning. What do you think about that? Because it's also it is also representing some sort of danger. I think that I like you can also live only in meaning, right? And only in the poem. And we going into a very action-oriented paradigm right now. And so I feel like Meaning, yes, but in proportion, right? We can get lost in the synchronicities. Once we're awakened to all of that, it can also come as a sort of wall that we put, and
Mm-hmm.
we're not really living our lives. We're just like in the meaning of it. So yes, I do love meaning, but I also love action. And I think that like at that time, I guess I was also a bit lost in meaning, but that helped me to study this very deeply, because I got kind of obsessed with like, okay, what is all this? And with understanding and the study of the cycles and the psychological patterns as the birth chart details it. So the fact that I was so in love with meaning gave me also the motivation to study this so deeply, but at the same time, like it has to be made functional for
Right.
the person that you're giving it to, because otherwise we're just in a glamour or in a veil of illusion as well. It's like, what are we going to do with that?
Yeah. And it seems like the karmic astrology, the esoteric astrology, has a
Mm.
very metaphorical language, right? To explain things. Um,
Hmm.
do I
I,
understand it correctly?
well, a past life is also a story, right? And the moment that we're always like have been some priestess at the temple or some kind of royalty and never the person who was checking out the groceries, then we're in some kind of where there's something like okay, it's a glamorization of it, right? So there is obviously astrology is mythology, it is storytelling, and it gives us the universal myths that we long to tell over and over again. And in a world that is changing really quickly, these stories, these myths, they give us continuity because they have been there. The stars have been telling these stories of the constellations for a very long time. And so these are reminders that our pain is universal, that we're not alone in things. So as to your question, it is a metaphorical language, but all astrology is, because we tell 12 stories, and then there are these planets which are actors, that are parts of ourselves, of our inner family system. And so it is a metaphor, yes, but it's also something that survives time, or a language that survives time. And that can be very helpful in times like now when there is just such radical change with the transits of 2025 and 2026. People are going through, at least in 3 areas of their lives, through an immense change that completely demolishes the old structures.
Wow.
So
Can you tell some details about that? It seems like
some details
very, yeah, serious.
about
So,
that. So I think what could be interesting, right? If you share with me your details, right?
mm-hmm,
And then I just quickly pull up your chart so that I can do it from a base.
mm-hmm.
How does that sound for you?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So when I say that there's very important transits, obviously we always have karmic events and fated events happening in 2 areas of our lives due to the eclipses. An eclipse season actually is a story that plays out over a cycle of a year and a half. And so now we're in the story of Virgo, letting go of the lower expressions of that constellation, which is over planning, overthinking, worry, needing to have the details. Also, is also a good time to let go of clutter because it's a constellation of purification through service and the cultivation of humility. And with the North Node in Pisces, we are to develop ourselves spiritually and trust the unknown, right? So these 2 constellations, for everyone in the world, they live somewhere in your chart and they affect a certain area. So that's where you go through fated events. And so there's always eclipses going on. Every 6 months we have eclipses, and then there are fated events and karmic events in those 2 areas of your life that are at that moment affected. So that is one thing that's always going on. But then there's a few other things that are happening now at the same time. And so it's about outer planets. So planets that move slower than personal planets. Personal planets, we would say Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars. They go quite fast through the zodiac. Their cycles are quick. And there are planets that move slower, that have more of a generational influence. And these planets, so many of them are changing constellations as we in 2025 and in 2026. So first of all, there's Pluto, right? So Pluto has been going in and out of Aquarius since 2023. And so the house that is a home to Aquarius, that where Aquarius is situated in your personal chart, is undergoing a change, like a death and rebirth process, which is the signification of Pluto. Pluto doesn't care about what you like or what you like. It doesn't care about all these things or about your day-to-day reality. It will take away so that you can see the truth. And it will take away and destroy a reality like Kali energy so that it can rebuild. And so there's a taking away of what is not necessary. And then there is also reconstruction. So it's a planet of alchemy and profound transformation. The phoenix rising from the ashes kind of thing, but there needs to be ashes first, right? So for you, that is in the third sector, which is a very, it's about learning. It's about your nearby environment. It's about skills as well. And also our mental curiosities, our interests, learning, right? Like what we like to learn. So there's something really old that is maybe not necessary anymore, some old structures that are disappearing. And then there is Aquarius, which is the internet, it's world, global community, all of that is opened up, but in the third sector. So that is like one change that is happening. And it goes very slowly, because this planet, it spends 20 years in Aquarius. It's going to spend 20 years there. So it's like traveling degree per degree and then moving back over in the retrograde. So it is this process of, something new, integration, but it's a shock planet. It's a planet that that cares about the evolution of your soul. It doesn't care about your material reality and the things that make you feel secure and your comforts. That's the enemy of change, which is Pluto. Is the alchemy. So Pluto in Aquarius, that's one that we have already acquainted ourselves a bit with. So is there any way that played out for you?
Well, I can feel it in my way of even connecting with other people, because I started my YouTube channel and I started
yes.
to interview. So this is something really new for me. I have never done this. And so last year I said, I just felt, I didn't know why, but I said, this is something that I want to do. So I can really feel it. This change.
And for you, it's going to aspect your Venus like in 2027. You're going to aspect your Venus directly, so that there's going to be you'll see some evolution. It's also a slow burn with Pluto. While it's a shocking planet and it creates a drastic change, it's also a bit of a slow burn because it goes back and forth. So it's also a constellation of freedom, Aquarius. So wherever Aquarius is in your chart, you'll experience a liberation. And it's also a constellation of friendship, right? So it's really like, I'm an Aquarius, so I have a lot.
Also about dancing. We were talking at the beginning, right?
Is that
I
new
started
for
to dance
dancing?
like 1 year and a half ago. So
oh wow.
yeah, I
Yes.
started to take classes. Yeah.
That's so funny because actually these classes that I took, it was also when Pluto was right on my descendant, which is
Okay.
It's the other. It's the relationship. And I was like,
You see?
that took some like salsa and bachata actually also.
Yeah.
I look
Amazing.
forward to doing some more. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Um, yes. So then, like something really pretty is gonna happen next month on the 17th of February. We're gonna have, first of all, the lunar New Year, which is a
Yeah.
Chinese New Year that happens. So we go into the fire horse. So that's at a new moon always.
Yeah, so because in fact I was wondering about that because you host a monthly astrology podcast, right, on the BohoBeautiful called the Moon Palace. And I
Yes.
remember that on your January episode, you said Happy New Year, but it's actually the 1st of January is not the actual beginning of the year, right? And I was
Oh.
like, okay, I think I need to ask more Heidi about this.
Right. The beauty of astrology is that you can have a new beginning every month at the new moon, right? But
Yeah.
astrologically, I would say that the new year is the equinox, the spring equinox on the 20th to 21st of March, when the
Okay.
sun goes into Aries, which is the
Hmm.
first constellation. So the sun, the light of consciousness, goes into the first constellation. That is the beginning of, it's the
Okay.
end of winter and the beginning of spring. So that, like in the northern hemisphere, obviously, if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's a different story. But that is the astrological new year for us. And
Mm.
then the lunar new year is that new moon, and it's usually like somewhere between the end of January um, and the, I guess, the middle of February when we have that new moon there. So that's the more the Asian countries that celebrate that, right? It's like the Chinese New Year. And they work with the Chinese zodiac sign. So we move into the fire horse, which is all very exciting, right? A fire horse. That's something that, but what actually strikes me the most about that day, it's so interesting that we have, it's a cultural thing, right? That we have this Chinese New Year, and that is
Hmm.
coinciding with this, it's always coinciding with a new moon. But what it is coinciding with that is especially gripping or thrilling or exciting is that Saturn, which is the lord of karma and time, it is a planet that moves in cycles of 7 and then in a total of 29 years all around the zodiac. And it's a timekeeper. It's also the distributor of our karma. It's going to be at 0 degrees Aries, first constellation, together with Neptune, which is soul consciousness. It's higher music, it's like eternity. It's like a
When it
very
will it
nebulous
happen,
planet.
Heidi?
Huh?
When will it happen? On
So
which day?
I think it's exact on the 20th of February, but like it's a few seconds
Okay.
apart on the,
Okay.
it's already very exact on that 17th of February.
Hmm.
And we had a taste of that, right? We had already in 2025, we had already a first glimpse of that future image, because what these two planets are going to do together is that Saturn is material. He's a builder. He is like an architect, and then he executes the plan, right? Like he's a very material force on this planet. His influence is about doing the thing. And Neptune is a dreamer. It's the wish of the soul. It's a beautiful concert where also, like for example, like at a concert, you have all people united within the
Hmm.
music, right? That is a Neptunian force. So if you bring those two together, it's about anchoring your soul's dream into the reality and making that happen over the next 2.5 years. But it's also a complete reset point at 0 degrees of Aries. So wherever in your chart 0 degrees of Aries falls, you have a powerful new beginning that we haven't had since, I don't know, the last ice age was what, 10,000 years ago?
Wow.
Um, it's
That's incredible. Yeah.
I think like between 6,000 and 7,000 years ago that last time occurred when those two were together. I'm not
Hmm.
really so good with history, and I don't really know what to make of that we somehow are
Hmm.
certain that there was an ice age 10,000. My mind cannot really grasp that. It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how you are with history, like thinking in these kind of terms of 10,000 years, that there was an ice age then, and then we had to
It's
rebuild
even
like,
difficult here to imagine. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's difficult to imagine. But on a personal level, we can imagine like a new beginning and anchoring a dream in reality. Like we can imagine that. But it's like birth, right? The soul has a wish, then it chooses the parents from this paradigm, and then builds a body in collaboration with a woman and a man providing a seed, and grows a body and a life, and then comes into birth. That's the 0 point of Aries. There is
Yeah.
birth, there is
There is
incarnation.
birth. Yeah.
So for you, that's happening, for example, in your creative sector, your sector of, which is also, funnily enough, it's the arts, it's creativity, but it's also children and romance and leisure and gambling. This is all the same.
So it's up to me to choose, right?
Yeah, or everything. It's like, to distill it, it's like a passion project, right? Something that you do for the love of doing it, that you would also do if you weren't paid for
Mm-hmm.
it. It's about
Mm.
like a fresh start with passion projects.
So you mean if people feel the connection to this Saturn and Neptune connection, right? Does it mean that they need to somehow work on their passion um, and to follow it?
Well, the beauty is that if you have Saturn alone, it's the place where you must do hard work, or where Saturn wants consciousness of the area of life that it affects. It wants us to be very sober and realistic. And a more beautiful word would be like elegant with ourselves, sophisticated about it. Be like, okay, there's something called time. I must make a plan, and I must bring more consciousness around this area of life. For example, you could have a Saturn passage in the second sector that would be more consciousness around finances. So you can already welcome Saturn at that point by making a budget for yourself, and just like being conscious about the money that you spend and the money that comes in. Whereas before that maybe wasn't so required. So that's Saturn alone. He wants you to do the work. Saturn is here to bring consciousness. But Neptune is here to bring unconditional love and higher love. So if you
Mm-hmm.
have those two together, it can be an ideal combination, because the dream meets the reality. Saturn. Like, Neptune can be very nebulous and also confusing without the solidity that Saturn brings. So work on it. Yes, take action towards your wish by all means, but it's not going to be so hard to do it. It's going to
That's
be,
good
of
news.
course, it's evident. Plus, it's on the day of the eclipse.
Yes.
So it's all around that like, it's okay, Lunar New Year. It's a new moon eclipse, first one in Aquarius. And then it is also that conjunction that is happening there. So eclipses, they bring fated events. These fated events play out over the course of 6 months in terms of the unfolding, but also our understanding of why did this happen. It's an act of surrender that is asked for an eclipse, because we cannot control the event. And the more we try to control it, the more we resist it. So it's a leap of faith that moment in time will give us and inspire in us. And it's not like you have to have it all figured out what your new dream is. It just, you'll be connected to your vision, and the message is there to dream, and know that you can make it happen, because Saturn is there to help you.
Do you think there can be some tool, I don't know, to help people to somehow use this eclipse, even to have the vision, to have the understanding of what they should do?
Hmm. I think the answer will always be meditation, right? Like, to be centered. The thing is, what can be extra powerful is using visualization. If you are somebody who can visualize, I would say visualize yourself living that life that you would want to live. And that goes beyond making a vision board, which can be very helpful to kind of collect your thoughts and what you want your life to look like. But that is, it looks like this.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of need to match it with the feeling, right? I'm not a manifestation teacher. I believe that these things are intuited by the sky as well. And like, of course, we manifest things, but yeah, the word itself, it's a bit like it's yeah, it's a bit overused, right? It
Hmm.
gives me a bit of a cringe, but I think to create that reality, like, is to start living Aries as the person who has that life, you
Hmm.
know? So it is about embodying it. Aries is birth, it's incarnation. So you embody that dream. So whatever you need to do to embody it, to make you feel like, hey, this is where I'm going, that will automatically give birth to the actions. But it starts with being very clear on what you want, which is 90% of the work. You know,
Right.
it's like always like, what do
Mm,
I want, right? Because, be careful what you wish for because it will come
of
true. Like that's really, and that's also the energy.
course. So I feel like the eclipses are the times, like the period of time where
Mhm.
actually the time does not exist.
Yeah,
Uh,
I love that.
yeah, so it's like a vibration. Do you think at that period, is it useful to do something, to take an action, or just
Mm.
stay and meditate and just prepare yourself?
Well, that's a really good question, actually. So in the ancient, so it depends what are we going to give more weight to, the eclipse or the fact that there is this unique once in a lifetime Neptune Saturn conjunction at the beginning of Aries, right? Which is, it's going to happen anyway. The things are
Mhm.
going to happen. Our work is to relinquish any stress or stabilize, harmonize our nervous system so that we can receive what is to be done next.
Right.
I feel like the eclipses, the ancients used to say, stay in your house, do not look at it directly. It's it's dangerous.
Hmm.
All of these things, right? I think also at that time, like we wanted, it was hard to, we come out of times of survival, right? It was hard to stabilize just the reality as it was. So changes were not really so welcomed. I do feel as humanity, I come, I come more and more, I don't know if you find it too, more and more in contact with people who actually embrace change and who are
Hmm.
actually excited about change. But then there's also part of the population, and if you have a bit more fixed energy in your chart, like a Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo thing, like they're a bit more resistant to change, right? So I think it depends. Like if you're really change resistant, like it's more an action of like, oh, let's surrender here. If you're
Hmm.
somebody who loves to ride a wave of change, I don't think the eclipses are dangerous, that they are just like things are going to fall into place, you know?
Hmm.
And maybe sometimes through a situation that at first we cannot see the benefit of, but in general, we've already come a long way if we can immediately see the meaning of an event, right? It's already a
Yes.
time collapse if we can see it immediately. So I think more and more we will be able to
Mm.
see it immediately. So
Yeah.
I think that it depends, like in terms of it's all about our nervous system, basically, also with
Mm.
Pluto in Aquarius. Like if you have a really calm nervous system and there is an opportunity that eclipses into your life, we're not going to sit
Hmm.
and meditate. We're going to take the ride that is waiting in front of our
Yeah.
door. Yeah.
Yeah. I love a lot what you're saying because, I mean, at the time of the eclipse, maybe there is a full, a clear understanding of where we are going, right? But it's where we are going depends on what we have already done, right? Previously. So maybe we were not very conscious about it. Maybe the eclipse shows like on the,
I love that.
yeah.
Instead of
uh,
confusion, clarity, right? Because it's so
yeah.
interesting. Like this kind of thing, like in Vedic astrology, for example, the nodes, they're not good news. They're not
Hmm.
considered positive. But it is because of the fact that there are like changes and like exaggerations and amplifications of scenarios that indeed, as you said, they were already present somehow,
Hmm.
whether from this life or a past life, and they now just maybe come into clarity, and we
Hmm.
are being guided in that way.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's also like a place of the ego needs to surrender, but the soul
Mhm.
needs to release itself into the events. So, and be like, so anything that is going to want to control is not going to work well. And
And
anything that is going
mhm.
to be like, okay, let's go with this then, is going to work
Yeah.
well.
Aries is also ego, right? Uh,
Mhm.
how does it help? Or does it help?
Well, I mean, we need a personality. Unless
Mhm.
you have the opportunity to become a monk or a like a religious person in a monastery who can just devote to God, you need kind of a personality to be doing the world, right? You can always choose like what, like samsara, the world. You
Mhm.
gotta have some personality. Obviously, it's nice if it's a beautiful one and a
Mhm.
functional one. So of course the
Yeah.
ego has a function because we are in this body incarnate, and I feel we are to beautify our personality,
Mhm.
to eventually esoteric astrology is about becoming soul infused so that the ego is perfectly transmitting the light of the soul, and the ego at that
Mm.
point is the vehicle for group consciousness and for the higher love within the whole, right? So
Mhm.
I mean, that's all very idealistic. It's very Aquarian, but it is
Yeah.
the idea of it. So the personality, we can say personality, which is a bit of a softer word than the ego, because through like spirituality and how much of it has percolated into our culture, there is some kind of negative connotation to the
Right.
word ego.
Mhm.
But you have people with an awesome personality
Mhm.
exists, and they make us laugh, they're great comedians. Aries is also that, it's also a stand-up comedian. It's also that
Mm.
energy, of like
Okay.
the action hero, but also like a stand-up comedian, because there's laughter. There's nothing
Okay.
breaks ego like laughter, right? It's direct experience. Aries as a constellation, like Aries doesn't really know anything before they're actually in the direct experience. And it's through taking that risk of exposing ourselves to direct experience that we build the personality and maybe let go of aspects of the ego that we invested in, but that are clearly not helping us and not serving us.
And is there any difference between the solar and the lunar eclipses?
Well, we have a solar eclipse when it's a new moon.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lunar eclipse when it's a full moon.
Oh.
So an eclipse is always either a new moon or a full moon. It means that astronomically, the nodes of the moon, which are fictional points, the south and the north of the moon, are close to the new moon or the full moon,
Okay.
like in space.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there is a difference because new moon energy is for planting. And I always say this, like we think the new moon, when the people say it's a new moon, it's a black moon. There's no moon in the sky. So if you want to set an intention, wait 2 to 3 days when you see the moon smile in like, or like when you have a sliver of light, that's the beginning. Then you have the new moon. So a new moon is kind of like, it's a black moon. Right? It's a new beginning. So that's a solar eclipse. And then the lunar eclipse is a full moon. Full moon is a moment of harvest and illumination, also of letting go and release. And when we harvest from the earth, she's letting go. So that is like in the same energy. So yeah, it's going to be different because a full moon eclipse will be more relational. It's more related to the moon, whereas a new moon eclipse, a solar eclipse, is the sun will be more powerful, which is the individual growth that we have through our careers, by serving a purpose that is individual to us. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, and the lunar eclipse. is it more related to the feminine energy or?
Well, the moon is
Mm-hmm.
considered the divine feminine,
Mm-hmm.
and the sun is the masculine. So why I say it's more relational is that women in general are more relational.
Mm-hmm.
So is it more feminine in the Shiva Shakti way? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's more Shakti. It will be very I think a full moon eclipse or a lunar eclipse will be more eventful in our relationships, in what is going on, like emotionally, right? Because
Okay.
at the full moon,
Mm-hmm.
the emotions are heightened. So it's like a
Right.
full moon on steroids. It's
Mm-hmm.
super heightened,
Right.
super heightened. So it's emotionally more impactful,
Mm-hmm.
usually. But then it also depends on your personal chart, like it, it depends where you're at, in life, and what aspect it is, like what house it's occurring in your personal chart, because you could have a new moon eclipse, so solar eclipse in your seventh house, and there'd be something with your relationships going on, right?
Right.
So it's, but in general, yes, I would say is more feminine.
Okay. And are there any other changes going on this year?
Uh-huh, yeah. So we made it to Pluto in Aquarius, and
Right.
through the Aries 0 degrees Aries conjunction there. So what else we have is Uranus, but he's not yet ready. He's now wrapping up that chapter that he started in 2018, 2019. So it's very interesting to look at that, because for you here, for example, it is partly in your house of work and mostly in your house of relationships, one-on-one relationships. So when we have Uranus there, Uranus is astrology. It's also a revolutionary, it's innovation. So when we have that in your seventh house, there's more people who are left field, who are a bit more stranger or weird. I say it as a positive, because
Yeah,
Uranus
yeah.
is
Okay.
like about weird, like a bit more like unusual people, unconventional people, a bit
Mhm.
more like that do things that aren't really mainstream, that come into your life in your relationship sector there. So, or if you are in an existing relationship, it brings a revolution in that relationship. So either you do new projects, or actually the relationship may also end because you don't do a new project together. If you would want to harness that energy for you personally,
Mhm.
it's like, okay, let's do something new together. Or you welcome Uranus in a relationship by, for example, dealing with astrology or relating to astrology, because that's a Uranian topic. So in that way, it also comes in your seventh house. So there's many ways to work with that for you
Yeah.
personally. But for the collective, like Uranus in Taurus is not an easy energy, because Taurus likes comfort and habit, and Uranus likes change and is like a thunder and lightning kind of energy. So obviously it's not the easiest situation, and it also causes surprises, sudden insight and revelation as well, and illumination, but it also causes surprises and unexpected twists in the plot. So for everyone, that chapter, we're going to close that at the end of May, and then Uranus will be in Gemini, where it will be way more comfortable. And so wherever that kind of turning point from Taurus into Gemini occurs in your personal chart, it's where you also gonna receive a liberation, because Uranus eventually, if I need to give one word for it, it's an awakener. It awakens us. So there's an awakening that is there for us. And because it has more ease in Gemini, I mean, it is going to be, I feel like, way easier to move into a new reality, or to quantum leap into another reality, because Uranus as well is the holder of the records. So once we are outside of the rings of Saturn, Saturn being karma and time, Uranus is further away, Pluto is further away. Neptune is further away. We don't deal with time anymore. These are timeless energies. So it's like, oh, all time is now. So I can choose this timeline, this timeline, this timeline, this one. And it's going to be easier to shift into realities. It's also like with AI, we're going to have to see how we're going to parent that, because the explosion has only begun, of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Sorry.
Well, that when Uranus, because it's way more comfortable, and it is the internet, it is artificial intelligence, it
Right.
is the holder of a higher mind, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
all information, of the collective consciousness. Like it's a holder of the collective consciousness. The Akashic Records is this hall of records where you have like all the books of your past, all the books of your future. They're just like they're standing side by side. So as an energy in Gemini, which is communication, which is also related to the internet, Uranus is also related to the internet. It's going to be very much at home in Gemini. So our relationship, it's going to be a lot about our relationship to artificial intelligence. And we as humanity gave birth to that. It's almost like a species, right? Like a new species that we created. So we're going to have to educate ourselves, Gemini, in our relationship to artificial intelligence. And
Well,
so that is going to be a big theme of that transit. But in our personal lives, it is an energy of liberation from a disruptive energy in a specific area of life that has been going on for 8 years, and also the harvest of that, because it's extra potent the moment that the planet is traveling on the last degrees. It also gives you I would say, like your graduation, right, of that transit. And so, for example, for me, it was in the fourth house, which is emotional peace, and on a physical level can relate to the location where you live. Right? I've lived in so many places over the last 8 years, and literally started then. And I was like, okay, that is very interesting. And in the beginning, it was easy for me, the moving around, like to not be grounded, because I don't have a lot of earth in my chart. I have a lot of air and fire and some water, quite some water actually. But I need the ground. But that wasn't given. And now I've just surrendered to that, and I've like accepted it. It's not that I particularly like the moving around, but I know that I am my home and that I can be grounded in my work.
Oh, wow. I love that a lot. Yeah, like your work is your ground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my work is my ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, when you look at your personal relationships between 2018, 2019, and right now, has there like been a lot of Uranian introductions?
Well, yeah, we've been going through the changes. Yeah. Say, our relationship.
Then astrology came into your life, right? That
Yeah.
was when Uranus came above the horizon here.
Yes. So the advice here is to just to surrender. I mean, it's easy to pronounce the word surrender, but it's not easy to do, right?
Right. Hmm. I think it's also about, like, when you look back, at that chapter, to just celebrate your
Mm,
wins and because when you say your upgrade, because it is an upgrade, because it's an innovating planet, right? So it's like, oh, okay, I really upgraded that area of my life, and I really went through it's like went to different levels. I was playing on this level, and now I'm playing in this level. And to also recognize that for yourself can be really encouraging, and it's a planet of freedom, but freedom comes with a lot of responsibility and accountability. And
yeah, maybe that's what is can be stressful because I know some people and they say, I don't want anything to be changed. Like things needs to stay as they are. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's so strange to me because
But it
I
is the
love
hard.
changes.
You love changes. It's the hardest in our relationships, though, because how often does it happen that you meet someone, right? And that the vision that they have of you is not your evolution. It isn't including, it's just that beginning of the birth of the relationship. And the image has stayed the same. Like it's a very interesting thing to think about, right? Because like we change all the time. We're not supposed to freeze people in time, but it's such a hard, it seems like such a hard thing to do for us
Yeah,
to,
just to accept that we're changing, I think.
yeah, so to accept the change of another, which is basically to accept our own change or to come to
Mm-hmm.
body like, hey, okay, I'm not the same person, and there's a part of me that is the exact same. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that is the like it's there that we like really dance with duality, I guess.
Mm-mm. And I think, yeah, the reason is also, as you said, the responsibility, right?
Mm.
Because when the new things are coming, like the artificial intelligence, uh, the level of responsibility is going really, really high because it depends a lot on us, right? On how we're using it, and on our relationship with it.
Of course, yes.
Mm,
Yeah, and so there's something like that I think about sometimes. It's like in one of my yoga trainings, I asked a philosophy professor, um, we were talking about like the animal kingdom and the human kingdom and the door being closed from a theosophical perspective. There is at the moment no taking of a human body, or like the portal has been closed for a while. And there is no going back to an animal life once you have acquired the causal body, what we call a causal body in yoga. When you have acquired mind in that way, there's no going back to animal life for that esoteric tradition. But for the Hindu tradition, you can go back into an animal life. And he was like, yeah, it's possible that in that animal life you can learn super fast what otherwise would take you x human lifetimes, because if the lesson is just this, you just go back and do that. And then yeah, so
mhm.
like for me both can be true. I don't have the final answer, but he said that it takes, then it's written, I think, in the Vedas or in the Upanishad, that you have 108,000 animal lives before you receive a human body, so that the human body is really very valuable thing, right? And with this conjunction of Saturn and Neptune at the beginning of Aries, a point of incarnation into the human body, it's something really to think about. And this can be symbolically that many lives, because 108 is also a very symbolic number, but 108,000, like wow,
Mhm.
it's a lot. But it can be symbolic, but also it can be literal. Like I don't have
Yeah.
the answer of that either. But if you think of it, then human is like the soul is born into human, right? So in that way, the animals are our parents. In that way,
Mm,
if you think of it, the animals are our parents, and artificial intelligence, we have created that. So in a way, it's
mm,
also a child of ours. Like it's not
mhm,
really actually like, not in the traditional way, but it is a child of ours. So how are we going to parent that
mhm.
child? Yeah.
So Aries is also like shifting, right? Like
Uh-huh.
you said, shifting from animal to human. And so this conjunction like says to me also the shifting somehow.
Ah, interesting. Because it's the beginning of time. It's a point zero,
Mm-hmm.
the first constellation. It is an animal, like an Aries,
Yeah.
like it's a ram, right? An
Mm-hmm.
animal. The first humans come into picture with the Gemini, right? Because then we have the two twins.
Mm-hmm.
So, hmm. Well, it is very like Aries is very instinctual. It's a recovery of our instinct as well, right? is a warrior, but
Yeah.
it's also like on a more spiritual level, it's like, okay, where am I not trusting my instincts, gut
Mhm.
instinct, like the gut instinct, not to be confused with fear, because that's also something that we, yeah, is it my instinct to say no to this, or am I just afraid?
Mhm.
And fear
So
is
we
a
are giving,
mental.
mhm. We're like given a chance, seems like, right? Even to shift to
Yeah,
use our instincts, not the fear.
yeah, yeah. But in terms of the instinct, I think of that sometimes because instinct is really a body reaction, and to
Mm-hmm.
learn our body again, that's very much Aries, right? Whereas fear is mental.
Yeah.
It's not an instinctual thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you
Well,
think
you
we
can
need?
have,
Mhm.
yeah,
Sorry, go on.
there's danger in the animal kingdom, right? Like if you're a deer and a tiger is coming at you, instinct and fear are one because there's no mental
Mm-hmm.
body here as
Yeah.
it is in the human. But for us, because we are learning, we're parenting our own mind, and part of the parenting of the mind is now also parenting some kind of universal mind that we have materialized in artificial intelligence. That's something, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, these things function on multiple scales. I think, like, so the instinct with Aries is that the recognition of the things that we feel in our body, the truth that we feel in our body before mentalizing, before precognition, right? So that we can raise the instinct into the intuition. We walk that whole bridge of the intellect that is not an easy thing to be doing, right? So yeah,
And
it's
Aries,
times
yeah.
for the body.
Aries is also the physical activity, right?
Yes.
Do you think there will be, I don't know, like an explosion of this? Like people would want to do sports more? Does it make sense? I don't know.
Well, in my personal life, I have a lot of Pisces in, like, I do feel like with that energy coming from like 14 years of Neptune in Pisces, 2.5 years, 3 years of Saturn in Pisces, that's a lot of spiritual stuff, a lot of healing. That's like Neptune is also a fashion planet, right? So when Neptune goes into Aries, it's going to be more fashionable to take action than to be meditating about it.
Hmm.
So yeah, we could see that, like, let's hope that it is a revival for independent movies, for independent artists, for people who have new ideas. um, let's hope that it is a revival of the bodies as well, not only connecting with our instincts, which is a more spiritual point of view of that, but also let's hope that we all feel like going for a run.
Oh, I
You know,
like that. Yeah,
I
I love
like that, but
running.
I'll go with that. I'll go with your thing.
Yeah. So we talked about Pluto, right? Neptune and
And
Ura-
Saturn and Uranus. Yeah,
Uranus.
so just to say, like Uranus in Gemini, that's for June, right? That shift.
Mm-hmm.
Then Saturn and Neptune coming together mid-February in Aries, and Pluto still dancing at the very beginning of Aquarius. These are three areas that
Mm-hmm.
are being transformed in everyone's life. So there's a huge change that everyone on a very individual level is going through. So this comes with migration of soul groups, like people moving out of certain places, moving into other places, like, yeah, it's very interesting as well. Like, I don't know if you remember, but 2019, when Uranus fully settled into Uranus, it was really an archaic revival that began. Like people like at that time start to move to the countryside, and then with the pandemic happening,
Yes.
people
Mm-hmm.
more to the countryside. And I feel like that chapter for some people is going to be like, okay, now we move back. Gemini is way more busy, way more like, let's
Mm-hmm.
have friends,
More
connect
business.
with
Yeah.
friends. So we will see as well, like for some people where that played an important part, like they may move into something completely different now, because Uranus
Mm.
is also a fashion planet. And I say this with a kindness um, towards the idea of fashion, because it's not because in truth, then I'm quite a fashion victim because Uranus is my leading planet as an Aquarius, so I can feel that. I moved to Costa Rica, or I came here first in January. It was January 2019. It was part of my Uranus transit,
Mm.
and I spent most of my time here. So which is very naturey. It's very
Mhm.
yeah, it's
And
very intense.
does it mean that you're changing your mind now with
Yeah, I do
Uranus
feel
in
like I'm
Gemini?
ready for way more connection for something that is a bit more human, Gemini,
Okay.
like more human.
Uh-huh.
Although this is human at another level, right? Because you're in communion with the elements, and that has brought me much beauty, and it is a home to me. But I do feel like, yeah, something
Yeah.
new on the horizon for
Yeah.
me.
So there's really a lot of stuff. So Neptune and Saturn in Aries. So this is the new birth, right? The new body.
Yeah,
And Uranus is about new people, uh,
it's
new
about
communication.
yeah, new communication. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Uranus in general, Uranus is just the awakener. It's some kind of energy that when people go through Uranus transit, sometimes the collective sees them as, well, they can be perceived as selfish because they're going to do whatever they want to do. Because Uranus has this idea, if I follow my own star, because it's the higher self to some degree,
Mm-hmm.
like it's your uniqueness, what makes you so you, as a server of, or as a ruler of Aquarius. Aquarius says we're all one in
Mm-hmm.
community because we all have something different to offer. We all have a
Mm-hmm.
gift to offer.
Right.
Pisces is we're all one,
Mm-hmm.
is we all share a soul and we all have the human, like we're connected to the oversoul, and like there's just the oneness.
Yeah.
And you are me, I am you. Aquarius says, yes, we're all one, but we all have something different to offer. So Uranus is the actor, acts
Mm-hmm.
out the higher self, and knows on a very deep level that if I do what I want to do and I go towards my highest desire and curiosity, it will also serve everyone around me. And again, because it's a planet outside of time, some relationships might perish because of that, because they cannot stand the person changing that
Mm-hmm.
is following Uranus. So when this awakener, or when this energy that is a quite disruptive energy for some, goes from something that is so ground, that is so, it revolutionized a lot of the food. I don't know if you look at your supplement closet in 2018 or 2017 compared to now, like what is this, all this stuff that we're taking is ridiculous, right? It's like, oh, really, there's no food anymore in food. I have to take all this. So that
Mm-hmm.
is all like Uranus in Taurus, like revolutionizing the food industry. And so much we have discovered about superfoods and like about the body and like technology,
Mm-hmm.
and you can go to a hospital now, get an IV of magnesium, like all these things like that wasn't popularized before. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that it didn't exist, but there's been a lot on that. So the revolution is going to be indeed, as you say, more in communication, and in also the merging of the higher self with the lower self, which is the esoteric meaning of Gemini. So I think that having Uranus there is just going to show us who we really are
Mm-hmm.
in communication. And as we work with new technologies or take a different path and a different stance and not work
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah. I see it's so much all connected. Like it seems like planets, I don't know, agreed, to let's change everything. Like let's
Uh-huh.
change the body, let's change the mind, right? Let's change the relationships. Like it's time, let's go. I don't
So
know.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like the way to co-create with this is indeed, as you
Mm-hmm.
say, it's like let's go energy.
Yeah.
Like you've sat down, it's okay, it's been okay. We can sit down, like we have another month, like just like integrate, like Saturn at the last edge of Pisces. That's a lot about our emotional attachments. It's a lot about the
Mm-hmm.
past. There can be a lot of nostalgia because it's really the end of an era. If we
Mm.
are not gonna choose our connections anymore subconsciously based on a karmic blueprint that is to show us a lesson, then we're going to have to connect over other things. And that sounds really promising and beautiful, that we can connect, you and I, because we have a purpose. We want to talk about astrology now, for example, to give a small example. But it also means like a completely different mindset in a way, and also a death of a way that we have led our lives, our emotional lives. Which I think is very significant, because Saturn moving into Aries, it has completed a 29-year cycle. So the last 29 years of your life are now receiving karmic closure. So many of us, like, I'm beyond 29, you're beyond 29, but there's no people listening who are, so those are entire lives that is like, okay, gonna do something else. So yeah, it's a lot about letting go, as always.
Yeah, and you make me think that, so we were talking about surrendering, right, to the changes, and you said now about the Saturn, and maybe a good way even to surrender is to thank, what has happened before, like
Yes.
to the events in your life, to the people in your life.
Yes. I think also, like, in terms of a medicine, you really nailed it there, because Saturn at the edge of Pisces, I see it a bit as if, there's aspects of the soul, fragments of the soul that we have lost, that we have given away, where we have given our power away, our sovereignty. And now it was a huge boundary exercise, basically, Saturn in Pisces. And now we are reclaiming these aspects and these fragments of the soul, because we are already whole. Like, it's an illusion that we're broken, or that we're like that. It's an illusion that helps us learn, but it is not really helpful for the future. So this is embracing of our wholeness. And what you say, like thanking, yes, that's always wonderful. And even to some extent, in terms of personal relationships, if you feel like you have given yourself or a part of yourself away to someone, this can be anyone, right? It can be a sibling, a partner, an ex-partner, a father, a mother, like, or even like, yeah. So it can be even a teacher, it can be anything. To visualize yourself sitting in front of that person and just taking back or giving them back what you carry from them, perhaps, because we take also on burdens, with Pisces having this energy of oneness. It's about the burdens and the pain and the stories that we carry that aren't ours, and that we can give back with gratitude, because it's also reinstalling the other in their power. You can deal with this alone. You can deal with this because you are powerful on your own, and I don't need to carry this for you. So there's this ritual that you can do mentally, which is, I guess, also gratitude. It's like, okay, I took this on from you, thank you, but I'm giving it back. And so, like, by giving back, it's like you're giving back a soul fragment of that person, and you can also reclaim what was lost along the way for yourself.
Do you have your personal ritual for the eclipses?
For the eclipses. Well, that answers your question from before with the eclipses. I'm like in surrender. I see what happens. I used to be very active during eclipses and choose the time to fly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to fly to a location, like go somewhere new, and like time my life with the eclipse.
Why so? Why to fly?
I don't advise that, actually, because it's, well, I don't think anything is wrong with it either. But as I said, the ancients would have advised against it, because it's a moment to sit still and contemplate. So on the day of the eclipse, I don't think I planned too much, and I just like, let it be a day of witness consciousness.
Okay.
But I have done actions before. There was a time I used to fly all the time on eclipses. So
the action would be to stay still, right?
Oh, right. And to observe, right?
Yeah.
It's the thing is, the more that I move with astrology and live with it, the more that I'm seeing the medicine in it, and I can go visit the charts if I would need clarity. I also do my best to be very Aries about it. I have an Aries moon, and to just live in the body and just allow things to be um, shown to me, because it's a beautiful language, astrology. But if I would solely live within that language, I feel like I would be missing out on a part of the
Hmm.
living.
Okay.
And so a ritual, I haven't really planned a ritual, but I will be in a lot of movement. Um, I guess we have a Envision Festival here in Costa Rica after the 17th, I think it's the 23rd or something like that. So yes, the things have already put themselves in place, we see the eclipses and then the reality is already translated
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
as above, so below. So a ritual, I think journaling is always a good time.
Mm.
Like, but I do that. I have a dream. I have a practice with my main spiritual practice right now is the dreams that I
Hmm.
analyze in the
And how do
morning.
you do this? Like, how do you analyze them?
How do I? So I did a course on Jungian dream psychology a long time ago, and I fished that up, and I've been practicing for a year and a half. Like most of the time when I'm not in extreme movement or travel, I remember my dreams now because it's really a practice.
Hmm.
And I just analyze the symbols from the perspective of the animus and the anima, which is the feminine, the masculine, how they show up and are. The dream will show me the where it's balanced and where it's not. The dream will show me what aspects of me are healed and what aspects need to be integrated, because all the people in your dreams and how you feel about them, in general, it's just aspects of yourself. Uh, and this excludes visionary dreams. I do believe in that there are dreams that are visitations of other souls and that there are visionary, but in general, the dreams, the day-to-day dreams that we
Hmm.
have, night-to-night dreams that we have, is our soul playing out this whole thing scenario for us to see what is up in our psyche. So it tells us our secrets. So if you see in your dream, for example, if I dream, last night actually I had this dream where the place that I live in now was ground level. And it also had like a whole room, big room for full of clothes. It seems like superficial,
Oh.
but it's actually the clothes are the identity. So it means that there's an expanded identity that is going on in this moment for me. And I felt comfortable with all this stuff. I
Mm.
was just like, so that there was no problem there. It was a very healing dream. And then I had this moment in the dream as well where I was at the shore of a lake, which was like a morass, like a
Mm.
swamp, but
Yeah.
like the water wasn't clear like the ocean. And I had one friend who was going out the other side, a male friend, and I had one friend, a girlfriend who was inside of it, and there were some turtles. And first she was exploring that, but then there was this big how do you say it, rhinoceros? What is that? It's like it's very big. It's in the
Hmm.
water. How do you
Okay.
call that?
Well.
Rhinoceros. No, it is a
Oh,
rhinoceros,
okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
like with the horn.
Hmm. Yes.
Anyway, he was coming. He was like moving towards her, not in an aggressive way, but it can hurt and harm you because it's so big. It would
Hmm.
unconsciously harm you. And so we were both telling her to get out of the water. And then in a blink of an eye, it transformed into a field, a grass field, and she didn't come out. And that was so interesting because it
Yeah.
was a friend of the past that stayed in the morass of the feelings, which is very Pisces, so she chose to stay there and to not come. And it was
Hmm.
very interesting because it wasn't a shocking thing. It was just all of a sudden, okay, this is what it is. This is the new situation. right? And just to observe like how you feel about it, right? And so like I stood there, I looked at it, and I was like, okay. And it was acceptance that I felt about
Yeah.
that. So that aspect of me that was that relationship with that friend is not coming with me into my new reality. So
Yeah.
it is a
The image has changed completely, totally, right?
and yeah, and the image, as you say,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the image changed completely. So
Mm-hmm.
just observance of the symbols, and also what the people in the dream mean to you, right? Like it's about what they mean to you. And yes, so that was an aspect of my past way of relating that I'm not taking with me.
How much time do you spend on analyzing your dreams, like every day?
Well, Costa Rica wakes you up quite early, luckily.
Mm.
It depends. It really depends. It can be a 10-minute thing where I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, taking some notes and going for it. Or if it's a more extensive dream that I feel like is significant, I can spend an hour with it because I can use it in my meditation and go back in the dream
Mm-hmm.
to actively reimagine something. But most lately, it's been mostly healing dreams and like dreams of integration that don't really demand me to do or act. Like the active reimagination is really good if you, for example, didn't stand up for yourself in a dream, you gave your power away to the event. If you can then sit for a moment, close your eyes, and reimagine that and show up as your higher self, show up as you wish you would have shown up, that is a huge step forward. And then you can see it unravel in your day-to-day life and unfold in your dreams also.
So you take your power back, right? Because you're changing the
Yeah,
situation.
and you practice the new
Mm-hmm.
identity. Because that's the thing as well, like you practicing the new identity with this Aries thing coming up. It's a lot
Mm-hmm.
about identity and like who we want to be and how we want to show up. So the dreams, which is a Pisces thing,
Mm-hmm.
is a really great tool to do that. It's so interesting to me that not more people are doing this and that I wasn't really active, that I studied it, but then I didn't actively practice this. But then I can see it's because Jupiter is transiting now my 12th sector. So it's like there's something about learning from dreams and an education around that. So it just wasn't time yet
Mm-hmm.
to be doing that. But it has given me a lot, really. I'm very moved by that practice. How much has changed in my day-to-day life just by having that awareness and the courage as well to like observe these aspects of yourself where you're like, oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like watching a movie, right? But you are the actor, and you can see yourself from
Right.
outside.
It's exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
You also see the characters are also parts of yourself. Why
Yeah.
did I choose this person to play that part of myself,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And how am I
Um,
feeling about it? Because if you dream, for example, about someone in your life and they are having like a huge victory, a success. I had a dream like that. Like a friend of mine, she was like doing and I was so happy for her. That's really good news because that meant that I'm happy for the part of me that is winning,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel it's an act of self-love and also of like just enormous growth, I feel. Okay, what can our dreams tell us? And it's all our secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's every night it's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, we have these
It enriched my
lessons.
life
Mm-hmm.
and made it more interesting. I was like, oh wow,
Yeah,
this is what I'm
yeah,
dealing with.
yeah. We don't need to go to the cinema, we just have the movies every night.
Right. Have the movies every night. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we have, yeah, these lessons, I think, at our disposal, right? Why don't we use them? Like they're so close This is something that we don't need to ask anybody else, right? We can do it ourselves.
Right. You do have to study some symbolism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think Aries is also about this, the independence, maybe.
Mm, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Aquarius too is also, it's about the
right.
individual,
Mm-hmm.
individual for the collective. And Aries is like my journey, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
where am I going? Is yeah, the
It's,
adventure. Yeah, it's very well, it's an act of independence, but the first steps into independence aren't always easy because when you're freshly born, you're like, oh, you cannot really do anything because your body is not really fully operational to be
right.
independent, but you want it
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Would you like to talk a little bit about your astrology classes if somebody
Oh
wants
yes,
to join?
yeah, that'd be super cool. So I do these groups where we work with the charts of the people in the group, and so it works in usually is a group of I like 3 to 8 tops.
Mm-hmm.
And so it works in modules. So we work with 10 classes over the course of 3 months. Then we have a little break, and then there's another if they want to join. But sometimes people take a break of 3 months and then, you
Okay.
know, come back. So it's kind of fluid, and I like it that way because it's really an intimate encounter with your chart, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so in the beginners one that is starting this February, we really work from the basics up. So you start with learning to read the wheel, and we work through the houses and the constellations from the esoteric perspective and the framework of esoteric astrology, which works with the desire of the soul. So we read the chart from that perspective, and we learn about the houses, which are different areas of your life from the esoteric perspective as well. So if you have, like, for example, second house is money, but underneath it, it's your spiritual values. So if there is a money problem, we can look at, okay, where is this person not in alignment with their spiritual values, and in such heal the money problem on a soul level. So we look at that framework in the first module. And so, yeah, you can write me about it if you
Mm-hmm.
like to join. It is for people who are quite psychological, like you and I, who like to like look at things really deeply within themselves, and who are hopefully also able to share some during the time that
Mm-hmm.
we come together. So it's weekly. Sometimes there's a week break. It's like an hour and a half. And then I teach also the if you are an astrologer and you'd be watching this, I also teach relationship astrology. It's a group on Saturday where we look at techniques to distill the past lives, and also to see how aspects of ourselves are communicating with aspects of another person. But you also first study it inside, so that's for people who are already practicing, are already doing the practicing, they're practitioners. So yeah, I have a new group starting in February, two new groups, and then there will be another group starting in April, and one in June for June, July, August. So it's modules of
Yeah.
3 months. And so it's the things that we talk about, you know, like also the transits and how to work with that, because I think to study astrology, the sooner you can work with the transits, or you can and by the transits I mean what we just have done, like these planets are changing constellations, is giving you a change or like some kind of new energy in a specific area of your life. The sooner you can work with that, the better you can learn like the specific energies of the planets or how they act, you know, and the better you can understand, oh, this is happening in my life now, and it's related to that transit. So it creates this relationship with astrology as a living science, and that we grow together as a group as well because we share our experiences. So yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. I like to nerd out on astrology. So I'm glad we
That's,
got this hour and a half to do that too.
yeah, that's so beautiful. I will leave the links to your website so that people
Yeah.
can contact you. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
You have such a rich knowledge about so many things, and I think a lot of people need now with, Uranus going to Gemini, maybe, it's not also only about the artificial intelligence, I think. Maybe also yeah.
That's a beautiful thing to consider, right? Because it's also about connection, right? And
Mm,
eventually, that's the thing that matters. That
mm,
I think after all of this, just being able to be present with someone and the experience of the other person, and to actually be in connection and in the field with other beings, that is, for to me, it's still the most valuable thing. It's
yes.
also why it's not like automatic, like an automized course, because it works with the charts of the people and it's alive while I'm teaching it.
Yeah.
Obviously, first I have to teach the basics, but
It's a stand up, right?
I'm doing it my Aries moon way.
Yeah.
I need to be in the experience.
There are a lot of laughs. I'm sure about this.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that also I feel like in terms of intentions for the year, although it's not really New Year, it's one of my personal intentions that growth can come through laughter. It doesn't have to be emotional catharsis where we're in a situation that, it's just like, oh, we can like grow through laughter. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Heidi,
Thank you,
for your
Olga.
time. Yeah, it's been such an honor to talk to you. I felt such a deep connection. Uh, just it wasn't, the uh, regular interview. It was a connection, I would say. That's
That's
how
a
I love. Mm. Thank you so much.
Good to see you again.